What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the driveway. And boy, it's been about what, a little over a month since I last uploaded something here on the channel. Well, of course, that's due to, things like work schedules and press cars being few and far between and stuff like that. But in and amongst all the great responses that I've gotten over some of my more recent videos, especially like the 2024 Lexus LC500 that I not only personally enjoyed to the max, but a lot of you guys seem to enjoy that car as well. A lot of you, especially those who have been with me for quite some time, and even some of the newcomers to the channel, have been requesting me through DMs, comments, etc. to see more content on my daily driver. And I still don't get sometimes how, enthusiast or not, you guys seem to get more excited not just about a hot new near 500 horsepower 6-figure 2+2 luxury GT car as you do about an almost 10-year-old Japanese 4-door sedan that to many just looks ordinary. I mean, it looks like just another car on the road. It is a bit of a unicorn, especially to those in the know, but as a bit of a way to appease a lot of you, and as also something to do this car some justice, not only are we going to be celebrating this car's bit overdue 1-year anniversary, but I also want to talk about the things that I've learned during my first ever year of Honda ownership. And we may also be talking about doing some upgrades to this car in the future as well. So to kick things off, for at least the newcomers here, let me give you guys a brief overview of the car I have, and maybe for those of you who may have forgotten just how special the car I have here is. This is a 2014 Honda Accord EX 4-door sedan, codenamed here in the US as the CR2. It's finished in modern steel metallic. It has a little over 90,000 miles on it right now. I bought it with about 78,000 miles on it just over a year ago in October of 2022. On top of that, this car has a graphite black cloth interior, which may or may not have been changed at some point, or at least covered up, as you'll see here in a bit. And it has been an absolutely flawless car, which leads me into the first question that some people have asked me, especially ones who have seen this car and now they want to buy one for themselves, whether exactly like this or a different color, different spec, you name it. And I'm happy to report that I've basically spent no money on this car, and everything that I've had to spend on it has just been normal maintenance items. It's done one oil change, which its second one is coming up here very soon. It has a brand new battery in it that was just put in about, I want to say a week and a half ago. It was just starting to get to that point where the motor was sounding a little sick when it spun over, and the gauges would flicker on and off, the typical signs of a weak battery. So that definitely needed to be replaced, and a big thumbs up from O'Reilly Auto Parts for that one, because my dad got me a gift card from O'Reilly Auto Parts for my birthday recently in September, so that was a nice little addition to kind of save some of the money on that. But and apart from the oil change and the battery, the only other two items that I've had to put into it is an engine air filter and a cabin air filter. That is it. That is all the money I've had to spend on this car. So overall, still being a very bulletproof car, despite having just a hair short of 100,000 miles on it. And while I would expect no less from a Honda of any kind, being a mechanically rock-solid vehicle, cosmetically, I don't know that I can exactly say the same about this car. Now, before I get into that, one other thing I failed to mention about this car that really sold me on it when I bought it back in October of last year, which is this car has had no paint work done to it. It has never been wrecked. It only had one previous owner, and every single nut and bolt was done at one Honda dealership here in Houston. Never anywhere else, with the exception of Mercedes-Benz of the Woodlands, where I bought this car, who eventually did, like their typical oil change and stuff like that. That's the only blemish, aside from every other service history on this Carfax, that was not done at a Honda facility. Now, back to the cosmetics. It is suffering from some typical things. As I said, this is an almost 10-year-old car. The build sheet on the inside of the driver's door says this car was built in January of 2014, so just coming up on 10 years old. And I mean, you look at certain areas, the headlights are definitely showing their sun fading. This car is not a garage queen. It lives outside. It is exposed to the elements all the time. And as I said, it is daily driven, so it's going to end up seeing things like this, which I do plan on doing a full headlight restoration on. And if you look at this car's hood, any kind of hard water or anything that hits this car immediately turns the paintwork into a leopard skin. I mean, it is just insane how easily this car's paint gets scratched or chipped. It is incredibly soft, and I have not had the chance to do a full paint correction on this car, so you will see as we walk around, there are scratches, there are rock chips. There's a little one here right by the back passenger door, followed by a nice little scratch that kind of goes here. You can see a little bit more of it right there. I mean, you come up to the trunk, there's a couple of them that look like people or the previous owner may have set a box on the trunk. And I think probably the worst offender for paint work on this car, or paint defects I should say, is right here. These three little marks, which are actually, at least this one here's all the way down to the metal, and these two are where the paint has actually flaked off entirely. That is the primer actually showing through the paintwork. So I do plan on getting that done a little bit later on. And for a car that has over 90,000 miles, sure, you expect the exterior to have some bumps and bruises, but you know what? I'm actually really surprised how well the interior has held up on this car. And yeah, I know it doesn't exactly look like a factory Honda interior because, well, they didn't make a red and black faux leather and fabric interior for these cars, let alone for the Acura A-Spec models, which have sort of the same color pattern, but those didn't come around for a little bit longer after this car was built. But these are some custom seat covers that I actually got from one of my sponsors at Cover Auto Automotive. You can see not only did they send me the front, but they sent me the back seats as well. And those have actually held up very, very well over the years. You can see they've got, you know, like some body oils on them and stuff like that. But underneath there is the factory graphite black fabric that I just want to keep in as good a condition as possible. I do not ever plan on getting rid of this car. I'm serious. You know, I want to put like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 miles on this car before I ever think of even buying another vehicle or at least trading this one for another one. You can see there are some bits of wear. You know, some of the switches have been, you know, the plastic's flaking off of them. Here on the steering wheel, this one for the different, I think this one's for the radio. I'm still learning about this car even a year later, but you get into it and it just feels like I'm right at home. I shut the door, hopefully trying to keep the mosquitoes out because we've got these trees sitting over here right next to us, but just everything inside of this car feels absolutely perfect. And I mentioned that this car is a bit of a unicorn for what it is, and there's one particular reason for that. Oh yes, it is a 6-speed manual 4-door, pretty well equipped Honda Accord sedan. And well, it is a little warm in here, so I'll use one of the nice options on this car, which is the push button start. Absolutely love that. And just a quick update on the mileage. Let's see if you can see it. 90,371 miles. Definitely not doing too bad for a 10-year-old Honda. I would expect this thing to have, you know, 120, 130, maybe 140,000 miles on it with the way everybody's been driving here in Houston. But the funny thing is, everything works. I love the screen up here in the middle. And this is one thing I've learned during my first year or so of Honda experience. This car does not have a factory Bluetooth button, but it does have Bluetooth controls. You can see that here on the steering wheel. So how exactly do you get to that? Well, you have to go into the AUX controls and you push that, and you can go between Bluetooth, USB, iPod connectivity. You can do Pandora internet radio, or like I said, back to your Bluetooth. And that took me such a long time to figure out that I had to use, well, I had to go back into my CD collection because this thing's CD player still does work. But I also was just listening to the radio. I wanted to link my phone with this car, and I finally figured it out after asking some people on driveaccords.net that I'm a very active member in. But if you look around, everything else, the sunroof, it works. I love how spacious the back seats are, especially my friends do as well, that my girlfriend and I drive around with. And just everything in here feels like the type of car you actually want to drive. I know it's not an enthusiast car, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but I absolutely love everything going on inside of this car. Now, well, things like the cosmetics and mechanical overviews and stuff like that, those are all great. I really wanted to get to the meat and potatoes here, which is a few people have been asking me, am I going to modify this Honda at any point in time? And the answer is yes. You know, I'm still an enthusiast at heart, even though I did finance this car when I originally purchased it. So yes, I am still making payments on it. But overall, don't know what the hell that was, but overall, I do want to make some changes to it to sort of, you know, make it my own. I don't want to go great guns and slam it to the deck, put it on crazy wheels and tires and, you know, do all kinds of fancy schmancy stuff like that. I do inevitably want to change the wheels and tires. I would love to do that. I would love to level the car out a little bit, put it on some nice coilovers or whatnot. And before I continue any further, I do have to thank my two sponsors that have been very graciously working with me over at least about 3/4 of a year or so. The first one, you guys already met them, that's Automotive. They're the ones that did the seat covers for my interior. But I also failed to mention when I was walking around the outside, my partnership with Novsight. They created a beautiful LED headlight kit that I've done the high and low beams on this car. So I have no problems with visibility at night or even during the day. It completely changed the look of this car from the dim halogen units that I had before. But going back to other modifications, in terms of mechanics, there's really only two things that I really want to do to this car, which is I would definitely love to have a better exhaust on it, not some giant fart can off of an AutoZone parts shelf. I'm talking something that just gives this car a little bit more of a voice, something that's not drony, not too loud, but not too quiet either, and something that also helps unleash that true kind of Honda sound. And on that front, the big mod that I really want to do is I want to put a cold air intake on this car. I want that K-Series engine up front to breathe a little bit better. And I know with the cold air intake, it unleashes the VTEC sound a little bit more. That is something that I was kind of wary of because I don't want the VTEC crossover to happen too soon. I don't want it to sound horrible. But on the same front, you know, I'm used to these high revving, screaming Hondas from the 90s and 2000s, and I kind of wanted this car to sound the same. So that is another thing I'm looking to do. But I also have one that's a bit of a surprise. You know, I mentioned the paint defects and stuff like that earlier, but one of the things I really want to do is actually put a wrap on the outside of this car. I am kind of debating what exactly I want to do in terms of a wrap, but I have a pretty good idea. Drop a comment down below if you can guess what kind of wrap I'm going to do with this car. But in any event, guys, I know I've been doing nothing but talking, but I really wanted to share my true thoughts and feelings about this car, as well as, like I said, give you a nice overview on it, especially for the people who have joined or have seen the channel recently. And if you haven't, or perhaps you know somebody who would love to see, you know, my kind of content, be sure to pass along my information. And while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up, and also maybe click the subscribe button if you're just passing through normally. I always appreciate the support, and I would love to see more of it in the future. But anyways, guys, I really enjoyed you guys sticking around with me today. And I definitely hope to see a lot more of you for more content like this coming in the future. But in the end, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.